Why does your partner go silent every time you argue? Ever wonder why your partner just shuts down during an argument? You're pouring your heart out, explaining everything on your mind, and they're just sitting there, silent, unbothered, avoiding eye contact. At first you really want to work things out, but their attitude only makes you more frustrated. And when the argument is over, you start feeling guilty, questioning if you were too harsh or if you should have been more understanding. But here's the thing. Your frustration, your outbursts, they don't come out of nowhere. Their silence, that cold, distant attitude, pushes you into reacting the way you do. In a relationship, all we really want is to feel heard, to know our feelings matter to the other person. But when they just sit there, showing zero reaction, it's like they're completely ignoring your emotions. Even if you're usually great at keeping your cool, this kind of response can drive anyone insane. So why do some people always go silent in arguments? From a psychological perspective, it usually comes down to 3 reasons. 1. They use silence as a defense mechanism. There's something in psychology called the silence effect. When someone is in an uncomfortable or upsetting situation, they feel like the easiest and most effective way to deal with it is to say nothing at all. It might not seem aggressive, but in reality, it's a strong psychological defense. It protects them from getting hurt, while also acting as a passive form of resistance. People who use silence like this often struggle with deep insecurity. Maybe they grew up in a household where they felt ignored. No one cared about their opinions, and their needs were brushed aside. Over time, they just stopped trying. If they had overbearing parents who never listened and always forced their authority on them, they probably learned early on that speaking up was useless. So now when conflict happens, they don't see the point in talking. It feels like a waste of energy. But here's the kicker. Just because they don't say anything doesn't mean they're not angry. They are. They just bottle it up, and silence becomes their way of expressing their frustration. The problem is, while they're using silence to cope, you're left feeling ignored and hurt, and that only makes the argument worse. 2. They never learned how to handle conflict. Some people just have no clue how to deal with arguments, and a lot of the time, this traces back to their childhood. The way conflicts are handled in a family gets passed down through generations. If someone grew up in a home where problems were ignored or brushed under the rug, they never learned how to properly communicate during disagreements. Maybe their parents never sat down to solve issues. Everyone just did their own thing and let time smooth things over. So now as an adult, they assume arguments will just blow over with time. These people also tend to be bad at reading emotions. What feels like a huge, urgent problem to you? To them, it's just something minor that'll go away in a few days, so they don't see the need to talk about it. Naturally, that makes it impossible for them to understand why you're so upset in the moment. 3. They're using silence to manipulate you. Now this one is something you need to watch out for. Sometimes silence isn't about insecurity or poor communication. It's about control. There's a psychological concept called induced emotional instability, where a partner deliberately triggers your emotions to make you look like the crazy one. It's like this. A problem comes up in your relationship, and instead of addressing it, they ignore you. They refuse to talk, refuse to engage, and just watch you get more and more frustrated. The more you react, the calmer they act, and eventually they'll start labeling you as too emotional or irrational. This is emotional manipulation at its finest. They put themselves in the role of the innocent, helpless victim while making you look like the aggressive one. Over time, this kind of treatment can make you feel like you're always the problem, and that's exactly what they want. Control over your emotions and the upper hand in the relationship. And let's be real, this kind of silent treatment, it's a form of emotional abuse. So what can you do? If your partner always goes silent in arguments, the first step is figuring out why. Are they shutting down out of insecurity? Do they genuinely not know how to handle conflict? Or are they using silence as a weapon to control you? If they're generally a good person and just struggle with conflict, try having an honest conversation about it when things are calm. Let them know you understand why they react that way, but also make it clear that resolving problems is a two-person job. Maybe they need some space to process things first, and that's okay, but they have to come back and talk things out. A relationship can't work if one person is always left in the dark, but if they're using silence as a form of control, that's a huge red flag. People who rely on emotional manipulation rarely change, and staying in that kind of relationship will only drain you over time. If you're constantly feeling powerless, frustrated, and emotionally exhausted, then the best thing you can do for yourself is walk away. Because at the end of the day, a healthy relationship isn't about who wins or loses an argument. It's about two people working through things together.